This is the Farm Monitor. For over 50 years, your source for agribusiness news and features from around the Southeast and across the country, focusing on one of the nation's top industries, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by one of the largest general farm organizations, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now here are your hosts, Ray DeLesio and Kenny Bergamy.
All right, hey there. Glad to have you along for another edition of the Farm Monitor. Kenny B, Ray D with you for the next 30 minutes, and you're probably sitting there asking yourself, I wonder what they're going to talk about today. Mr. B, I'll let you do the honors.
Yes, to the rundown we go, straight ahead. Football season is still months away, but one Georgia company is hard at work producing the surface that so many teams play on. We'll show you how soybeans are being used in the manufacturing process. Also on the show, when he's not tending to his cattle, chances are you'll find this Walton County farmer reaching new heights on both the national and international stage. He's a Georgia legend, and at 77 years old, he's still raising the bar for others to follow. And speaking of heights, if you're afraid of them, then this job is not for you. We're going to take you inside the minds of an elite group of wildland firefighters known as smoke jumpers. An amazing feature you do not want to miss. These stories and so much more on the Farm Monitor.
In an age of down markets, tariffs, and now a pesky virus, producers are constantly working to find other avenues for their crops. Thanks to research, soybean producers have found at least one avenue in the bio-based product arena, as soy oil can be used to make products like carpet, turf, tires, and much more. John Holcomb has the story.
Farmers are arguably some of the best adapters on the planet, having to constantly adapt to changing weather, markets, and many other factors. U.S. soybean farmers fit that mold perfectly, as they have found new markets for their soybeans in the last 20 years.
The soybean is crushed for the meal and the oil. The meal is consumed by our friends in the livestock business, and the oil obviously has a huge use in the cooking industry and the human food consumption area, but that also leaves a huge amount for biodiesel as well as other industrial applications.
One of the many industrial applications can be found in the carpet capital of the world, Dalton, Georgia.
We're a commercial carpet manufacturer located in Dalton, Georgia. We primarily service the hospitality, senior care, and other commercial market spaces. And we've been incorporating bioproducts into our carpets for a little close to 20 years now. We incorporate soy oil and cornstarch in our backings materials. That helps us offset the use of petroleum products, and we deliver a product that performs equally or better than existing products.
However, they're not the only ones that have turned to bio-based products. One artificial turf producer, Sinlon, also uses oil from soybeans to produce their products.
Sinlon is part of a group of companies that comprise of the largest sports surfacing company in the world. We do a lot of high-performance acrylics, high-performance polyurethanes for court applications, and there are a lot of different sports that are in court applications. We also make EPDM rubber and binder for track surfaces and for playground surfacing, pour-in-place playground surfacing. But our core business is artificial turf. We're the largest producer in North America. We're the third largest producer in the world.
They have been working for more than a decade to develop products made from bio-based inputs.
Our products are sustainable in its application, and many people are aware of that. What we were trying to do is, though, change the paradigm of our products being plastic, petroleum-based. So we wanted a plant-based artificial grass, and that's what we have done. We've put soy in the secondary backing. Now we have developed some yarn that is made from sugarcane, and that creates the polyethylene fibers that we have, and it's going to be featured in the Tokyo Olympics next summer in many fields that we've done.
The decisions of these two companies to use bio-based products is twofold, as it not only is sustainable, it also supports U.S. soybean producers.
When we started doing it, we did it because it was the right thing to do. And it also matches well with us because our products are made in the USA in Dalton, Georgia. And so we love the idea. That's the added benefit. We support U.S. soybean farmers rather than petroleum that is coming from outside the U.S.
Reporting in Dalton for the Farm Monitor, I'm John Holcomb.
Meantime, living in rural areas shouldn't mean having to sacrifice quality medical care, business opportunities, or even broadband internet. That's the whole reason behind the Rural Strike Team, a statewide initiative designed to improve the quality of life in these areas of Georgia. A Monitor sat down with Governor Brian Kemp, who spoke about the main objectives for this program.
It's fulfilling a campaign promise I ran on. Obviously, I ran a very strong vocal campaign about strengthening rural Georgia, and that we really needed to put some focus there from a state perspective. And there's been a lot of people doing that, but I felt like we needed the, I guess, power, authority, whatever you want to call it, of the governor's office behind that as well. Being out there listening to Georgians all across the state, talking with the Department of Economic Development, we really came up with a plan to create the Rural Strike Team. And they're going to focus on several different things. Number one, we found out we do not have enough mega sites in our state. These are the 800 to 1,200 acre sites where you can really try to lure a project that will have regional significance, not just for one county, but for really a whole region in our state, much like the Kia plant did over in West Georgia when that community was just in really bad shape, and it's completely transformed that. We need to do that, or work to do that, in other parts of the state. But a lot of those rural counties don't have the dollars or the expertise to get those sites ready to go. So we're going to bring that from the state perspective of the Office of Economic Development, also partnering in with private sector people like utilities and other folks to get these sites ready so that they're known, and we'll market them, because it's hard to get people to want to go back to rural Georgia or move to rural Georgia if they don't have a great quality of life, like access to good quality, affordable health insurance or medical care, value of life type things, quality of life type things like high-speed internet, not only to help their businesses, but also just for quality of life issues in today's world. And we're working on all those fronts right now. We're working on our pathways and access waivers that we're working with the Trump administration on to do just what I said. Have affordable, quality, accessible health care all across rural parts of our state. We feel very good about that. On the high-speed internet side of things, we just finished the mapping project that we've had going on now for well over a year to really see where the gaps are. We gotta move the needle more, and we gotta have a plan to do that, and I think that's what the Rural Strike Team does. And I guess I'm so interested in it because I just love that part of our state. It's just a great place to do business. They have hard-working people, and it's tough because you're losing population in a little of those areas, so you have to really coordinate a lot of things to change that, to be able to produce the workforce that people need or bring that workforce in, and it's hard to do that if you don't have a good quality of life. So there's a lot of moving parts to this, and we're literally focused on it every single day. The other thing that we've been focused on is Georgia-made products. I've been to all regions of the state and almost finished with those tours to really highlight our Georgia businesses, to make people aware in our state, in our country, and around the world that we can make anything for anybody, anywhere in the world, right here in Georgia, and we can do it in any region of our state.
Well, still farming at 77 years old, no big deal, right? Well, would you believe this farmer is also a legendary pole vaulter and still competing at the national level? That is next when the Farm Monitor continues.
We're here today to celebrate a big milestone in a USB-funded project we've had. We're able to convert high oleic soybeans into a rubber that allows you to get more mileage out of asphalt.
USB's goal here today is to showcase high oleic oil pavement coverings, coatings, and just how diverse the soybean high oleic oil is. As a farmer, this is really exciting to me because it's beyond petroleum. You're going sustainable, you're going renewable, so this is great, and another use for our soybeans.
Asphalt chemistry is very complex, and the oleic acid content in soybean oil is kind of the secret sauce that they've been able to use to increase the reuse rate on asphalt grindings from 17% to over 30%. So it changes the chemistry of that mix, and it's very advantageous for the industry. New markets are very important. New product ideas, increased markets, expanded markets. It's just very important to increase that consumption of soybean oil as yields go up, our supplies of soybean oil go up, and we need to continually look for new markets for that oil.
The things that the soy oil, especially high oleic, can be used in is just, I think limitless.
Each morning, Cook Holliday makes the short walk from his house in Walton County to this, by definition, a pole barn. But it's not just a pole barn in the traditional sense. You see, at the tender young age of 77, Cook Holliday is an accomplished pole vaulter. And this is where he keeps his poles and the occasional piece of farm equipment. But to understand Cook Holliday and his love for pole vaulting, you must first take a trip back in time, 70 years to be exact. That day in Rochelle, Georgia, when a 7-year-old farm kid was riding the bus home from school, and something caught his eye.
I took a seat next to the window, and I looked out, and I saw somebody pole vaulting. I didn't even know the word pole vault in the first grade. So I said, my goodness, I think that I could do that. So I go in and I throw my books down, and my mom says, Cook, where are you going? And I said, to the wood pile, and get me an axe, I'm gonna jump. And she says, what are you talking about? I got the axe, went to the woods, and I cut down, I had to have 2 standards, and I picked me a bamboo pole out, and I got the hole diggers, and I just started jumping from memory how he was doing. I knew nothing about it. I didn't even know it was pole vault.
And from that day forward, Cook was hooked. In the years that followed, he set numerous records in both high school and college, where he attended ABAC as well as the University of Wyoming on athletic scholarships. In his adult years, Cook was a teacher and successful track coach, winning 6 state titles before eventually being inducted into the Georgia Athletic Coaches Hall of Fame in 2009. Even now, at 77 years old, Cook is still competing, including this proud moment when he took home the gold for seniors at the World Championships in Toronto. And as I walked through his basement, snapping picture after picture, I couldn't help but think, all these awards and honors started with the simple routine ride on a school bus. But according to Cook, it started long before that. The way he explains it, it all began as soon as he could walk.
I don't think I would be where I am today had it not been from growing up on a farm and my dad giving me the work ethics that I had. And as I've told people before, I didn't even have a wristwatch. We worked from sun up to sundown in the summertime, of course, not during school, but it's a parallel there that keeps me going because I learned to work, and if you're gonna be successful in anything that you do, where it's farming or whatever, you better be hungry and want to do it. And if you're not hungry for agriculture or pole vaulting or throwing the discus or triple jumping, you're just gonna get beat, that's it. So it's definitely a parallel.
One of the outstanding community honors he received is that the city named the sidewalk surrounding Winder Barrow High School the Holiday Walk. and a bust of Coach Holliday is in place at the W. Claire Harris Stadium in Winder to honor Coach Holliday for his coaching accomplishments.
If somebody came up to you and said you have a choice to make, pole vaulting or farming, what's your choice?
Photo finish for first. Does that tell you? I love it, and of course if you don't, you eliminate yourself, you know. And I've always taught my kids, worse than a quitter is a man who's afraid to start. And the thing about it is, if you're thinking about getting in farming, I think you need to stick with it, you know, because it is tough, I can say that. But health-wise, to grow up on a farm, you know, I just look forward to that sun coming up. And I look forward to it going down sometimes because I'm tired too.
In Walton County, Georgia, for the Farm Monitor, I'm Ray DeLessio.
Oh boy, he is one of a kind, that is for sure. And folks, don't forget, if you missed any part of this story or others on today's program, you can still see them in their entirety at our YouTube channel, The Farm Monitor. Plenty of stuff to choose from. In fact, the archives go back to 2009. And while you're there, keep clicking and like the Farm Monitor Facebook page. Send us some feedback as well. If you have a story idea or if you just want to leave us a comment or suggestion, send us a message either on Facebook or the address on your screen, that is news@farm-monitor.com. Heroes, thrill seekers, daredevils, they are all of the above. Up next, it's a unique look at an elite group of wildland firefighters known as smoke jumpers.
If you ask different people what comes to mind when you say 4-H, you'll get many different answers. Non-4-Hers might say, "You mean FFA?" While many in 4-H may say things like judging teams, DPA, and state congress, the 4-H's, or even the motto, to make the best better. But for me, as I look back on my 7 years in 4-H so far, the most prominent aspect has been the opportunities that 4-H offers. One of the most important focus areas of opportunities that 4-H offers is in the STEM field. This is even more meaningful given that many of the fastest growing jobs in the coming decades are in STEM fields, and continually evolving STEM-related technology gradually permeates more and more of our daily lives. Drawing on 4-H's roots as an agricultural club and STEM's newfound focus at both the national and state levels, 4-H provides a distinct opportunity for the intersection of the STEM and agriculture fields. With 4-H as the largest premier youth development organization in the state, this puts us at a critical spot to inspire both STEM and agriculture awareness in the youth of Georgia. Today, STEM is very much a still developing field in Georgia 4-H. But in the future, STEM will grow to an important topic impacting almost every aspect of life. Just as 4-H has been a leader in agriculture education for over 100 years, Georgia 4-H is poised to be a leader in STEM education, offering important enrichment and development opportunities for the students of this great state, and I am truly blessed to have been a part of this.
Well, finally this week, it's one thing to jump out of a perfectly good airplane from 3,000 feet, but it's another to jump out of a perfectly good airplane from 3,000 feet towards a raging fire wearing 115 pounds of gear.
But that's the life of a smoke jumper right there, which would explain why there's only 500 of them worldwide, and is documented by the U.S. Forest Service. Even when they're not fighting wildfires, they are constantly training for them.
We get to see some pretty amazing country, places that a lot of people will never get to.
The taller timber, the colors in the grass.
I think it drives a lot of guys to stay doing this job.
I've seen 8 bear on fires out in the wilderness this year.
Boba. Chavez.
Here.
Wade. Higgins.
Yeah. Here.
Taj.
Here.
Stern.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Harnos.
As you notice, the models are trending drier and drier, and we had some peak gusts upwards of 50 miles an hour last night.
So I've got everything in my locker.
All my paperwork and extra clothes and shoes and workout gear. Boots too.
Someone made me some green tomato jelly. Jump helmet, built a wire cage to protect our face.
It's my wife, and this is my daughter.
Most fire spreads along the ground. The brush might drop embers, but the grass is what's going to carry your fire.
Even if the fire's a raging wall of fire, we always have a plan in place. I think it takes a certain kind of person to do this job.
What is a smoke jumper? They're the cool guys, basically. I mean, if you're in fire, wildland fire, the jumpers carry a mystique that nobody can touch. They parachute into fires.
Now I'm starting to get used to it. It's a pretty weird thing to do, to be jumping out of airplanes.
A little scary till your parachute opens.
When your legs start shaking.
When the horn goes off, just kind of the rush. It's kind of intense, but it's also kind of peaceful.
I've been doing this about 21 years. It's different up there, just everything about it.
Just start your morning with a parachute jump, you know, pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
You're so focused that you're just very in the moment.
We train enough that it's just second nature.
Part of our job is parachuting and fighting fire, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
Things like doing push-ups, pull-ups, and sit-ups for like an hour and a half straight, 12-mile runs.
Our jump gear was like 90 pounds. We had to actually be able to pick that stuff up to be a functional smoke jumper.
So this will be enough food for 2 guys for 3 days.
Sometimes we're in there for a few days, sometimes it's a few weeks.
One of the last steps is rolling up the sleeping bag, and that's where the hot sauce goes so it doesn't break.
That was a fun one.
I think my favorite part is the fact that everything was handmade. The guys who've been around for a long time, they sewed all the jump gear, they sewed the harnesses.
So this is a 4-point stitch.
The strongest stitch that we do in here. It's a privilege to get to use it, you know?
We can stop a fire with as few as 2 people. We would have one hand tool. This would be the one.
My daughter, she's about this tall now. She says she wants to jump with Dad when she turns 18. I said, it's on, we're doing it.
You're having to think ahead. In some cases, can take you right to the edge of what your capabilities are. Truly can wake you up.
Even the toughest fires, when you look back, you're like, that was awesome.
That's the best way to start your morning off, you know. I mean, you could go surfing or something, and that'll be pretty cool, but this is just a little bit cooler.
Yeah, no thank you. We'll leave the jumping and the fires to them, and unfortunately, Kenny and I have to leave as well.
But before we go, a friendly reminder that for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening down on the farm, be sure you check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and with us on the show.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on the Farm Monitor.
Have a great week.